Courtney here from the Cranbourne Library, just bringing you a book review of Sarah J Maas's new release, The Crown of Midnight. For those of you who don't know, this is book 2 in a series. Book 1 is Throne of Glass, so if you have not read Throne of Glass, click the link below. It'll take you through to my review for the first book and also to the links for the catalogue so you can place it on hold. One sentence summary: Throne of Glass is basically a Cinderella style fairy tale, but one where Cinderella can kick ass. So give that one a go. For those of you who have read it, rejoice! Book 2 is out, yay! And it is just as fantastic as its predecessor. So, Crown of Midnight picks up where the last book left off. Selena is now the King's Champion and doing his evil bidding, which is basically assassinating people that the King doesn't like. We learn very early on that she's not actually assassinating these people, and she's going against the King and trying to find a way to break free of the hold he has over her so she can just have her freedom back. The mystery in this one is back, which is what made the first book so fantastic. So all the questions from the first book about what is under the castle, what are the King's evil plans, what does a long ago dead queen want with Selena, and who is Selena. So those storylines are all back in this one. Most of them get answered, but we also get a lot of new questions coming out of this book as well. So there's some progression and then there's some more questions to be asked. In this one, Selena's past comes back to haunt her. She is ordered by the King to take out an old associate of hers from when she was an assassin. So there's sort of a conflict there. It's not very clear about the relationship Selena had with this guy. I didn't really pick up that they were close, but she's sort of wary of killing him, especially because if he is working against the King, does she want to help him? But is he good, is he bad? Just because he's working against the King doesn't mean he's the good guy. So that all plays out for Selena. The great thing about this character is it sort of brings Selena's past back into the present, so we learn more about her life as an assassin, what it was like growing up being trained to be an assassin. There's more background into what happened to Sam, who we know from the first book was her love, and he died. So that story is unveiled more. We get to see a bit more of what Selena felt for him and how he died. We find out how he died, and so there's a nice progression of that little storyline. On the other front, Selena embarks on a romantic relationship with Cole. I don't know if I pronounced that right, sorry. It's C-H-A-O-L, the guard. And that relationship sort of gets complicated very quickly. They've sort of got their different loyalties and their different plans for the future, so makes for a bit of a complicated relationship and interesting storyline taking them down that path. Dorian is back. His storyline in this one is very separate to Selena and Cole. We get a lot of him alone, away from the two of them, and he is struggling very much with the role his father wants him to fulfill, to obeying his father when he's sort of conflicted about whether he agrees with what his father's doing. So there's all that conflict of him trying to find his identity and who he is, separate to who his father expects him to be. In addition to all that, there's some nice little surprises with him. He starts exhibiting some unusual abilities, which obviously confuses him further because he doesn't understand where these abilities are coming from, or how he can do these things that shouldn't be possible. And on top of all that, he realises, despite being the King's son, if the King finds out about these abilities, his life is on the line. He's in danger just from being able to do things that he has no control over. So it's really nice. to watch that play out and watch Dorian sort of try and find his own way in life without the other characters there influencing him. What did I think? I loved it. It's fantastic. Selena is this fantastic protagonist. She's tough, she's independent, and she's the one doing the saving. She doesn't need saving, she does the saving. So I love that about this character, that she's the hero in a way. But she's not your typical hero, she's not your typical protagonist. She's very selfish. Which obviously, reading the book, you can understand why. You know, she's not interested in saving the world and saving the kingdom. She just wants to save herself. She wants her freedom and to run away and just be alone and have just her life to herself. She doesn't feel she owes anybody anything, and she doesn't feel an obligation to save the world. And I like that. It makes her a bit more relatable, because I think deep down everyone is at their very core selfish. They're gonna do what's best for them. So it's nice that you've got a character like that, because you can relate to her more. You can see where she's coming from and think, yeah, I'd probably do the same. So I love that about her. I love the old world Arthurian setting of this book and the atmosphere. The faraway mystical land with knights and princes and an evil king and sinister plots and magic and swordplay and basically all that. It's just, it's so wonderful and very refreshing in YA. You know, you got a lot of YA is actually set in our world, so to be taken out of that context and the world that we know and put into this other world is fantastic. I love it. What I don't like about this series is the romance. In book one, it was Selena and Dorian, and I sort of felt a connection there in the first book. I'm not sure if it's a romantic one though. It's probably more of a they understand each other because of their circumstances, which when you get to the end of this, you'll understand that. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's really romantic. There was a connection, but in this one she's romancing Cole. Don't feel that at all. Don't see the connection between them romantically, so unfortunately that sort of deters for me from the rest of this fantastic story. The only time I feel Selena has been open and honest about her feelings and her emotion is when she reflects on her time with Sam. But otherwise, she always seems to have this wall up, this closed off part to herself that you don't get to see, that the other characters don't get to see. So putting that into the context of relationships, it just doesn't really work. But on the whole, that would be the only criticism I have of this book, is the romance. Probably could do without it, but that's okay. Maas still managed to surprise me. I got halfway through this book and I'm like, yep, I know who Selena is, I've worked it out, but there's still this nice little twist and nice little surprise to who she actually is, and so she sort of throws that in at the end, which is nice to still be surprised. So that is pretty much Crown of Midnight and my thoughts. Book 3, we don't have a name for it yet. It is out sometime next year. Great characters, great world, great story. So Crown of Midnight, Sarah J. Maas. If you'd like to place it on hold, I'll place the link below to the catalogue. Okay, thanks guys, bye.